Our feature interview this morning is with former Nebraska Governor and Senator Bob Kerrey, now a candidate for the U.S. Senate. Good morning.
Good morning.
You have been a decorated Navy SEAL, popular governor. I think you had a 70% popularity rating as governor. A U.S. Senator for 12 years. You did serve on the 911 Commission. Why in the heck would you want to go back to Washington, D.C.?
Well, I'm worried about the country. I mean, Washington's become way too bipartisan and dysfunctional. You got a great example of this week. They depart without getting a farm bill. They didn't get a budget. They didn't get any appropriations bills. A long list of things that they simply didn't. A bill that would have put our veterans back to work when they come back from Iraq and Afghanistan. They don't get any of it done. So I'm campaigning on a 45-word amendment to the Constitution. I'm calling the George Norris Amendment that would abolish the caucuses, establish 12 years as consecutive for term limits. It would allow the Congress to ban outside money and set limits on what could get spent in campaigns. The rules need to be changed. And I've watched these guys, and I'm worried about it. Secondly, they're unwilling to cross party lines, in part because the caucuses are punishing them. You mentioned the 9/11 Commission. Maybe my singular contribution there was to make certain that it was a bipartisan set of recommendations. I really, since I've been out, become much more passionate about crossing party lines because I see what it can do. We made the country safer as a consequence of being bipartisan. Newt Gingrich and I did the same thing with an Alzheimer's study group. There are things where Republican and Democrats disagree, and we let our disagreements be known. But increasingly what's happening is they are just hungry to hang on to the power, as opposed to trying to figure out what's right for the country. I think we have to do that. It's going to take bipartisan action to solve this budget deficit, primarily because of what's happened to Social Security and Medicare, which I could talk about at length. Likewise, we're simplifying the tax code to make it more productive. Likewise, we're reforming our immigration law so we can just sort of end this sort of nightmare of the states having to do it on their own. Now, the immigrant community has been an enormously important part of Nebraska's success story over the last 10 or 20 years. You know it well in Dawson County. It hasn't been a failure, it's been a success. So there's, I would say, at least 3 big issues that unless and until Republicans and Democrats get over their partisan difficulties, we're not going to solve the problems.
I think it's safe to say that the general public is very, very disappointed in Congress.
Oh my God. I was introduced the other day by somebody who said, I don't know why, sort of your question, why you'd run it for Congress? By polling data that waterboarding in Nebraska is more popular than the Congress. No, and the disappointment, the discouragement, the anger is well deserved. They're behaving badly, and in part because the rules are encouraging them to do so. We need to abolish the caucuses. We need to change the rules of filibuster. We need to amend the 74 Budget Act so that darn thing works, shrink the number of committees down, reduce the number of subcommittees so that we have a lot less regulatory friction and a lot better outcomes. Congress needs to change, and change pretty fundamentally.
Frank Snyder with Bob Kerrey on Morning News. Did Harry Reid talk you into running?
No.
One thing that I noted that when you were in the United States Senate, the Democratic Party was very, very different. And we talked earlier about bipartisan ism and how has the party changed?
Well, it's changed a lot. I'm not sure the party's changed so much as the party members inside of Congress have changed. As I said earlier, I mean, the problem is they're all trying to hang on to the committee chairmanship. It's less partisan than is I want to be a chairman. We have 88 subcommittees with oversight responsibility for Homeland Security. Other than it costs us more money and provides less security, it's working. That has nothing to do with the Democratic Party, the Republican Party. It has to do with members of Congress wanting to be committee chairman. The 9/11 Commission recommended substantial changes. Congress didn't do anything we recommended. So a lot of this has to do with the rules of Congress. I don't think it's so much the Republican and Democratic Party, although both parties tend to penalize people. I mean, Tom Coburn's taken a lot of grief for his support of this Social Security plan because he basically told Grover Norquist to go pack sand. He's not going to sign his pledge. Likewise, Dick Durbin, because the Democrats say, oh, God, you can't reduce the benefits of Social Security. And he said, no, we got to fix the program. So Durbin has to take grief from the left. Coburn's taking grief from the right. But it's the only way you're going to get it done. It's the only, you got to be willing to have people in your own party get mad at you in order to be able to solve the big problems.
Let's talk agriculture. You mentioned to me earlier about the disappointment in not having a new 5-year farm bill. What can we do for agriculture in Congress?
Pass the Norris Amendment. It's 45 simple words. You got to and blow up these caucuses. Get rid of the partisan organization of Congress. That's what killed the Farm Bill. The Speaker had 70 or 80 guys. By the way, Norquist is encouraging. Norquist is against the Farm Bill. So are the Koch brothers. There's some legitimate opposition. They make their arguments, but there's bipartisan support for it. It passed with a big number in the Senate, and it got held up with a small group of people, again, because these caucuses are penalizing people who break ranks.
And
so,
the argument was over the food stamp program, right?
No, they wanted to cut the food stamp program back a little bit, but they could have resolved that conflict easily between the House and the Senate. No, it was actually opposition to the Farm Bill itself. This food stamp thing has become a smokescreen. By the way, you're not going to get a farm bill without the food stamps. I mean, first of all, they're buying food with food stamps. So that's what we grow, for God's sakes. Bob Dole made that argument, and he's 100% right. You wouldn't get urban votes for this bill. It's not it's not a farm bill. It's a food, farm, and jobs bill. There's a lot of economic development in that bill as well. Loans for hospital and rural development. There's a lot of things in there way beyond just providing farmers with crop insurance and other assistance. There's programs in there to help us develop and create jobs in rural communities. So it's food, farm, and jobs, and it wasn't the food stamps that killed it. It was actual opposition to the crop insurance program and any kind of support at all for production agriculture.
That's really interesting. I've never heard that. I've never heard that perspective.
It's true. I mean, Grover was on the. I mean, I know Grover Norquist well. He's honest about this stuff. He hates the Farm Bill. Always has. He wants the marketplace to solve the problem. He doesn't like crop insurance, and there's a legitimate argument. I strongly disagree with it, but that's what killed the bill.
Very good. I've appreciated being able to talk with you, and I want to wish you all the luck.
Thanks, Frank. Nice to be with you.